Ladies and gentlemen, today I want to talk to you about a different kind of enemy. Not the kind that knocks on your front door wearing a mask, but the kind that slips silently through the cracks of your life, undetected, uninvited, and often unchallenged. I'm talking about evil in your home. And before you roll your eyes or scoff at the word evil, hear me out, because I'm not talking about ghosts and goblins. I'm talking about the destructive forces that creep into your home and poison your spirit, steal your dreams, and slowly suffocate your future. The words spoken in your home are not just sounds in the air. They are seeds that either grow life or sow destruction. Every time you speak, you're either building your home up or tearing it down. Most people don't realize the weight their words carry. They speak carelessly, without thought, without discipline, and then wonder why their home feels heavy, tense, or divided. But let me tell you something. Words are energy, and energy creates atmosphere. Think about it. Have you ever walked into a room just after an argument ended? You can feel it in the air, even if no one's saying anything. That's the power of words. They linger. They imprint themselves on the walls, on the hearts of those who hear them, and on the energy of your environment. You cannot expect peace to live in a house where criticism is louder than encouragement. You cannot expect unity where sarcasm and ridicule are the language of choice. And you cannot expect love to thrive where words are used as weapons. It begins with awareness. What kind of words are you feeding your household daily? Are you speaking to your children with life-giving, belief-building language? Or are you constantly correcting, scolding, comparing, and criticizing? Are you lifting your partner with words of support and gratitude? Or are you always finding what's wrong and voicing it without mercy? Sometimes the evil in your home doesn't look like a monster. It sounds like one. And the scariest part, it might be your own voice. Now this isn't about guilt, it's about ownership, because the moment you recognize the power of your words is the moment you gain the power to transform your home. You don't need money, fame, or degrees to change the atmosphere around you. You only need to change your language. Speak joy, speak peace, speak vision. Even when it feels awkward, even when it doesn't feel real yet, speak it anyway. Because words are not just reflections of your reality, they are tools that create reality. Want to shift your home from heaviness to healing? Start with your speech. Instead of saying you never help around here, say I appreciate when you support me. It really makes a difference. Instead of barking, why are you always late? Say it means a lot to me when we're on time together. Can we work on that? Instead of yelling, you're so lazy, say I see so much potential in you. Let's find a way to unlock it. It's not about being fake. It's about speaking the truth in a way that inspires change instead of shutting people down. We're often more polite to strangers than we are to the people we love. We say thank you to a cashier, but ignore our spouse when they do something helpful. We compliment a coworker's effort, but stay silent when our child tries their best. If the people in your home don't feel safe around your words, they'll start hiding, not just physically, but emotionally. That's how walls are built. That's how families drift apart, not with explosions, but with the slow, subtle erosion of careless words. Your voice can be a sword or a shelter. You get to choose. And once you choose to become intentional, everything begins to shift. Speak affirmations out loud. Bless your home with declarations of peace, progress, and protection. Wake up and say, this house is filled with love and purpose. Look your loved ones in the eye and tell them, you matter, you are seen, you are not alone. These aren't just phrases. They're powerful acts of war against the negativity that tries to infiltrate our homes. Evil thrives in silence and sarcasm. It dies in the face of truth, love, and gratitude. The greatest leaders, the strongest warriors, and the most influential people throughout history have all known this truth. Words can build nations or burn them to the ground. The same is true for your home. So today, speak on purpose. Speak with purpose. Your home is listening. Your children are listening. Your future is listening. Make every word count. Because the atmosphere of your home isn't decided by chance. It's created by choice. Fear doesn't always knock loudly. Sometimes it slips in quietly, unnoticed, and unchallenged. It doesn't come with a scream. It comes with a whisper, a subtle thought, a hesitation, a pause. And before you know it, Fear has made itself comfortable in your home. It's in the conversations you avoid. It's in the dreams you've put on hold. It's in the decisions you postpone, the goals you talk yourself out of, and the love you withhold because you're afraid of being hurt. Fear is one of the most powerful and deceptive forces that can invade a household. Unlike chaos or conflict, fear doesn't always make noise. It doesn't need to. It just needs to plant a seed in your mind or heart and watch as you water it with doubt, anxiety, and overthinking. Left unaddressed, that seed will grow into a pattern. That pattern becomes a lifestyle, and before you know it, you're living in a cage with invisible bars, trapped in a house that looks normal from the outside, but feels like a prison on the inside. What makes fear so dangerous is its ability to disguise itself as logic. It will sound like wisdom. Be realistic, it says. Don't get your hopes up. That's too risky. What if you fail? And while there is a place for caution and careful planning, fear isn't interested in your safety. It's interested in your stagnation. It wants you still, small, quiet. It wants you to trade progress for comfort and possibility, for predictability. It doesn't just attack individuals. It attacks the culture of a home. When fear takes over, it turns families into strangers. People stop sharing ideas, stop being vulnerable, stop dreaming aloud. Parents pass it to their children without meaning to, raising them to play it safe, keep their head down, and avoid failure at all costs. Spouses stop growing together because fear convinces them that change is dangerous, that new seasons will only bring instability. Fear turns passionate homes into polite ones, where everyone's playing roles, but no one's really living. And here's the hard truth. You cannot live fully while fear is in control. You can survive, you can function, but you cannot thrive. You can't create, risk, love, forgive, or dream deeply. When fear is holding the steering wheel, it will always pull you back, even when you know you were meant for more. Even when something inside you is screaming to go further, fear will whisper, not yet, not you, not this time. But it doesn't have to stay that way. Fear may be strong, but it is not stronger than faith. It is not stronger than purpose. It is not stronger than a made-up mind. The moment you begin to confront fear, truly confront it, you begin to weaken its grip. Speak against it, name it, bring it into the light, because fear thrives in shadows, but it shrinks in truth. It loses power every time you move forward anyway. Every time you choose courage over comfort. Every time you have that hard conversation, take that first step, or say yes to something bigger than yourself. You are reclaiming your home. You were not created to live ruled by fear. Your home was not meant to be a house of hesitation. It was meant to be a house of strength, boldness, and possibility. And that transformation starts with a decision to no longer give fear a seat at the table. Disconnection doesn't always happen with a fight. Sometimes it happens in silence. It happens slowly, through long glances that never become conversations, through dinners eaten with screens instead of each other, through words left unsaid and moments passed by. One day, you look around and realize you're living with people you barely talk to, loving people you barely see, and sharing a house with hearts that no longer feel like home. That's the silent power of disconnection. It doesn't need chaos to grow. All it needs is neglect. And here's the truth. When connection disappears, darkness moves in. Not the kind you can see with your eyes, but the kind you feel in your soul. The kind that wraps around your home like a fog. You start feeling alone even when you're not. You start doubting your place, your value, your voice. You wonder if anyone notices you, or worse, if they care. That's not just sadness. That's spiritual and emotional separation. And it's one of the most subtle signs that something deeper is off. We were never meant to do life alone. The design of the human heart craves connection. It craves to be seen, to be heard, to be understood. A home should be the place where your spirit can breathe freely, where your laughter is shared, where your tears are safe. But when disconnection settles in, the home becomes a place where everyone is physically present, but emotionally absent. We stop showing up for each other. We stop asking real questions. We start coexisting instead of truly living. This is how marriages begin to drift. Not because of sudden betrayal, but because of months, sometimes years of small, unnoticed disconnects, a lack of intentional time, a missing "how was your day," a skipped kiss, a conversation pushed to later, and later never comes. This is how children grow distant, not because they don't love their parents, but because no one's asking them what they feel. No one's listening without judgment. No one's truly present. We're all busy, yes. Life is demanding, but if we don't pause to connect with the hearts in our homes, we will eventually find ourselves living with strangers. And the most dangerous part, disconnection is rarely loud. It doesn't shout for your attention. It quietly settles in. That's what makes it so powerful. That's what makes it so dangerous. But here's the good news. Reconnection is always possible. Always. No matter how long it's been. No matter how far apart things feel right now. All it takes is one intentional moment. One honest question. One hand reached out. One effort made without needing anything in return. Relationships don't heal all at once. They heal one conversation at a time. Start small. Put the phone down. Look into their eyes. Ask something real. Listen without correcting. Sit together in silence. If that's all that can be done today, but sit close. Let your presence speak where your words fall short. Connection doesn't demand perfection. It only demands intention. And if the atmosphere in your home feels heavy, cold, or distant, it's not too late to change it. It starts with a decision to fight for connection, to stop letting distractions be more important than people, to remember that the strength of your home isn't in its walls, it's in the relationships held within them. Darkness cannot stay where light is invited, and connection is light. So choose today to reconnect, even if it's awkward, even if it's hard, because the longer you wait, the deeper the silence gets. But the moment you choose to lean in, to be present, to ask, to listen, to care, you begin to bring life back to your home. And a connected home is a powerful one. A connected home is a place where love flows freely, where healing begins, and where evil has no place to hide. It's easy to confuse comfort with peace. On the surface, a comfortable home seems like a good thing, predictable, calm, undisturbed. But if you look closer, comfort isn't always your friend. Sometimes comfort is the camouflage evil wears to keep you still. It tells you you've done enough. Don't push, don't grow, don't risk, just stay right here. And before you realize it, what felt like rest becomes restriction. What looked like peace becomes a prison. Laziness doesn't always look like lying on the couch. Sometimes it looks like avoiding the work that matters. It looks like giving up on your potential because the path is difficult. It looks like repeating the same day over and over while calling it a life. And when that becomes the culture of a home, when everyone settles into patterns of passivity and procrastination, something sacred begins to die. Dreams fade, energy drains, and slowly the light in people's eyes begins to dim. This isn't about working 24/7 or grinding yourself into exhaustion. This is about recognizing the subtle difference between healthy rest and destructive stagnation. Rest restores you. Stagnation rots you. When your home becomes a place where no one is growing, where no one is reaching, where no one is stretching outside their comfort zone, that's when the spirit of progress disappears. And when progress disappears, purpose isn't far behind. Comfort lures you in with ease, but it costs you everything that growth requires. It tells you that ambition is dangerous, that dreaming is unrealistic, that effort is unnecessary. It convinces you that good enough is better than what could be. But deep down you know that you were made for more than just existing. You know your family, your children, your household was meant to create, to improve, to move forward, not just to survive. When a home gets too comfortable, discipline fades, healthy routines slip, the urgency to do better, be better, quietly dies. We put things off. We lower our standards. We stop checking in with ourselves. And slowly, day by day, we drift further from who we're called to be. And that's exactly where evil finds its opportunity. Because comfort creates gaps. Gaps in our focus, in our purpose, in our accountability. And where there are gaps, destruction has room to enter. Frustration creeps in. Boredom turns to bitterness. People feel stuck, but they don't know why. Because they think being comfortable means being content. But true contentment comes from growth, not from staying still. It doesn't take a storm to ruin a house. Sometimes, all it takes is stillness over time. Foundations settle, cracks form, decay sets in. The same is true for your life. A motionless life will always begin to fall apart from the inside out. That's why you must choose to stay active, not just physically, but emotionally, mentally, spiritually. Choose to challenge yourself. Choose to wake up with intention. Choose to do the hard things even when no one's watching. And when you lead with that energy in your home, it spreads. Your children will rise when they see you rising. Your partner will feel inspired when they see your fire. Your household will shift when someone decides to shake off the dust and step back into purpose. Don't let comfort lull you into mediocrity. Don't let stillness become your story. You don't have to climb a mountain today, but you do need to move. One step, one goal, one act of effort to remind yourself and your home. We are still becoming. We are still rising. We are not done yet. Chaos doesn't always show up in explosions. Sometimes it's quiet, scattered thoughts, constant tension, or a heaviness that lingers even in silence. You feel it when you walk through the door. You hear it in the way people talk or don't talk. You sense it in the short tempers, the impatience, the avoidance. That's not just stress. That's a sign of something deeper, unresolved conflict. When peace is missing from a home, it's often because something hasn't been healed. A wound that was never talked about, a moment that was never addressed, a harsh word that was spoken and never apologized for. Or maybe it's the growing distance between two people who used to be close, now pretending everything is fine while resentment simmers beneath the surface. These things don't just go away on their own. Time doesn't heal what you refuse to confront. Unresolved conflict is like clutter, emotional clutter. The more you ignore it, the more it piles up, and eventually, it becomes impossible to move freely without tripping over it. You start to feel overwhelmed, but you can't quite explain why. You become reactive over small things because you're carrying weight that was never released. You lose patience, lose clarity, and lose connection. That's what chaos does. It strips the home of its safety and turns it into a battlefield where nobody really wins. Some people learn to live with it. They normalize dysfunction. They get used to the emotional minefields, tiptoeing around the truth just to avoid another fight. But peace that requires avoidance is not real peace. It's just a pause before the next eruption. And when a home runs on that kind of false peace, everyone is exhausted. Spiritually, emotionally, mentally. Love may still be present, but it's buried under layers of misunderstanding, pride, and pain. The tragedy is that many conflicts don't even begin with something massive. They begin with little things, unspoken expectations, unmet needs, moments of feeling dismissed or unseen. And when those things are not acknowledged, they grow roots. Hurt becomes distance. Distance becomes bitterness. Bitterness becomes blame. And once blame enters, chaos is inevitable. But here's the hope. It doesn't have to stay this way. Peace can be restored, but it requires courage. It requires someone to step up and say, let's talk. Someone willing to go first, to apologize, even when it's not all their fault. Someone who cares more about connection than about being right. Reconciliation isn't weakness, it's wisdom. It's the mature, brave decision to clear the air, so healing can breathe again. Conflict doesn't ruin homes. Avoidance does. Pride does. Silence does. When we stop being honest, when we stop being vulnerable, when we start building walls instead of bridges, that's when chaos takes over. And if you feel like you're constantly walking through tension, constantly cleaning up emotional messes, it's time to ask yourself, what am I avoiding? What conversation needs to happen? What truth needs to be faced? Your home deserves better than constant undercurrents of stress. Your heart deserves better than a space that drains you. So take the first step. Break the silence. Ask the hard questions. Listen, really listen. Let the walls come down, one truth at a time. And remember, healing doesn't always come in a single conversation, but every honest word moves you closer to peace. There's something sacred about a home that knows its purpose. It doesn't matter if it's big or small, fancy or simple. When a home carries a shared sense of meaning, it radiates strength. There's clarity, there's direction, there's life. But when purpose fades, the light begins to dim, slowly, quietly, almost invisibly. And that's when darkness finds its way in. Not always with destruction, but with distraction, with numbness, with apathy. Because when people no longer know why they're here, They stop living and start merely existing. Purpose is more than having goals or routines. It's the internal compass that gives your life meaning. It's the energy behind your effort, the intention behind your actions. In a home, purpose brings unity. It brings passion. It reminds you that each person under that roof is part of something greater than just surviving the week. But when that sense of purpose is lost, the house can feel full, but strangely empty. People go through motions without motivation. They share space but not direction. They fill their days with activity, but not fulfillment. Without purpose, the soul begins to starve. That's why so many people feel heavy, even when nothing's wrong on the surface. Why they feel drained even after rest. It's not always about stress. It's about a lack of meaning. When you wake up with no sense of why you're doing what you do, everything feels harder. And if enough time passes in that state, hopelessness begins to settle in. And that hopelessness creates the perfect breeding ground for emotional and spiritual darkness. It starts subtly. A loss of motivation, a growing sense of dissatisfaction, a feeling that life is slipping by, and you're not really in it. Maybe you once had dreams, but now you don't talk about them. Maybe you once had a vision for your family, your career, your future, but it got buried beneath bills, responsibilities, and daily distractions. Purpose becomes a memory instead of a mission, and the longer it stays buried, the harder it feels to dig it back up. But here's the truth. It's never too late to reclaim purpose. It's not gone. It's just been ignored, covered, pushed aside. And all it takes is one decision, one moment of clarity, to begin uncovering it again. Maybe it starts with a conversation. Maybe it starts with sitting down and asking yourself what truly matters. Maybe it's about remembering who you were before life got loud, before fear or failure made you settle. When a family reclaims purpose, everything changes. The atmosphere shifts. The conversations deepen. The energy returns. Because now, everyone knows what they're building together. They understand that their home isn't just a place to sleep. It's a place where love grows, where character is shaped, where dreams are born and supported. It's a place of meaning. And when meaning returns, light returns. Even if you feel like you've wandered far from where you hope to be, you're not lost. You're just waiting to be realigned. Don't let darkness convince you that drifting is your destiny. You still have time. You still have power. You still have the ability to lead your home back into purpose. Not with perfection, but with persistence, with vision, with truth.